Morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary, and I've been drumming since 1998. I still got plenty of stuff to work on. Today, I'm going to be working on my left hand. So as somebody who marched traditional grip, who now plays match grip, I have some inconsistencies between my right hand and my left hand. In particular, the contact point on my thumb is different on my left hand than it is on my right. So I have a tendency, this is way exaggerated, but it's more towards the front rather than towards like the center, like this, okay? So I want to have even distribution on the stick like I do on my right hand, but on my left, instead of playing like this, I'm playing a little bit like this. So it's a very small little adjustment, but it's enough that I'm noticing some slight pressure changes in the back of my hand just by having this in a completely different spot. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Now, in these practice streams, this is literally me practicing, and all of these streams have timestamps in the description that shows what I was talking about or what I was working on. So if you want to see what I was actually doing to try and improve, you can go into the timestamps and see, okay, right here, we're working on that pattern, then I was working on a different pattern, and it shows sometimes like things that I was talking about. Because sometimes people come by in the different chats that I have up on my other monitor, and I will often edit those responses that I give to the different questions that I get, and I will put them in this playlist that has well over a dozen hours of free drumming tips on a wide variety of different topics that I get in the chat or just that I see online. So if you're interested in watching these, they're in the drumming tips playlist, and you can find this on my home tab of YouTube. If you go to the home tab, I've got over 2,000 play-alongs and free drumming tips. Go to the home tab, and because there's so many of them, and because I also make gaming and computer science stuff because I'm a nerd, you got to click on the header, and then that shows you all of the drumming playlists. So you can just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Now, because there's so many different playlists in here, it's a little bit hard to organize it all on YouTube. So at the top of every single play-along, I've got a link that takes you to my website, jaredoleary.com/drum. When you go here, we've got 62 chop exercises organized neater than what I can do on YouTube. Scroll down a little bit. We've got 419 triplet grid variations, 577 16th note grid variations, and 36 wacky ones like hurt the grid and other stuff, all organized by different rudiments. Highly recommend working on these with a rudiment on one. Focus on that before you get into the wacky stuff. But, you know, you do you. It's your practice. You can improve or not. It's up to you. There's over 150 timing exercises. There's 55 drum charts, both straight and swung, as well as a video that shows how I'm working on limb independence. We've got over 400 marching bass exercises, a little under 400 technique exercises. So if you're like, I want to work on my endurance and speed, check out that playlist. If you want to work on your stick control, check out that playlist. If you want to work on your rudiments, check out the rudiment builders. There's a ton of different exercises to work on different rudiments in there. Almost 400 technique stuff, so again, check it out. If you want to find the drumming tips, go to this playlist. If you want to find the live streams, go to this one. There's also scripted lessons where I talk about how to hold traditional grip or the stretch and massage routine that I do, blah, 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 blah. Now, I am going to warm up, and then I'm going to stretch and massage, and then we're going to work on a double stop exercise that is specifically working on the diddles. So playing diddles isolated on one hand and then hearing them together so we don't get diddles that sound like that, but instead get diddles that are consistent. And I'm specifically focusing on that left hand contact point for the thumb to try and shift it from more towards the tip, not all the way like this or anything, like from here to here. So it's a very minor change, but that's what I'm working on today. Okay, before we do that, we got to get motivated with Shia LaBeouf. The great sage Shia is here to motivate me to practice. So here we go, Shia. Help me out here. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success. Well, you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can. Just do it. if you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. So I need to do like his hand that is not the dominant hand, so like his left hand, like when it gets into a fist or he like makes like different finger motions. So I need to continue to refine that. I do that, by the way, to get myself into just a goofy mindset. Try to not take this too seriously because honestly, streaming gives me anxiety, and I've worked through that over the years, but we're trying to get better. And it helps me to just, relax. Now, I'm going to warm up. I'm going to warm up with an exercise called slow, fast, slow. It's more like a tool. But there's a variety of different subdivisions in here that you can use to work on a rudiment or a phrase or whatever. In this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play 16th notes on here. And when you go into the timestamps in this one, it's a BPM range. So this is a little bit different than the other play-alongs, where it's like, if you want to play at 141 beats a minute, click on that one. If you want to play at 38 beats a minute, click on that one. But for this, I'm going to go from 40 to 100 to 40. And what it's going to do is count off, and then it's going to start at 40 beats a minute with just 16th notes. And then it goes up one click at a time, and it just keeps going faster and faster and faster and faster up to the maximum tempo that you select. In this case, it's 100 beats a minute, and apparently YouTube is going slow. I broke it. It holds it there for 4 measures, and then it slows it back down, one click at a time, all the way to 40 beats a minute. And what I'm going to do is just play rolls the entire time. So the underlying check pattern is just 16th notes. So 1 E and 2 E and I'm just going to play essentially 30-second notes. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do to warm up. And I'm doing that so I can see what is changing when I go from slow to fast and then back down again with my left thumb and try and make it so that I'm not putting it towards the front, but more towards the middle of my thumb. That's the goal, at least. So let me click on this so it just restarts it. And let's do this. Getting the hands flowing. The blow going. What? So you can do this to work on like your paradiddles, book reports, a drum kit phrase. If you have something that's triplet based, click on the one that's for triplets. There's also one that's quarter notes and another one that's eighth notes or swung eighths or swung 16th notes. So there's a bunch of variations of this exercise that can help you out with working on different rudiments. Another thing you can do is a different tool that's the opposite of this called fast, slow, fast. So it starts fast, oops, talking to screw me up. It goes slow all the way down to 40, and then it goes back up one click at a time to whatever your starting tempo is. That's a great tool to work on as well, like work on a rudiment. So start off whatever you can play like a flam drag at, using the triplet one, and let it slow down so you can refine the technique, and then it'll speed it back up again. But this is the opposite. Now I'm going to focus on my thumb rather than talking because it's screwing me up a little bit. Okay, so once it gets to 100, which is the maximum tempo I selected, it's gonna hold it there for 4 measures, and then it'll slow back down 1 click at a time, all the way back down to 40. So here we go. Now we slow it back down right here. Yeah, so the thumb pressure moved up a little bit, the contact point, but not as much as I thought it was going to, because I'm trying to be aware of it. Interesting, the angle of the left hand, because I'm adjusting it to try and better match the right, I'm feeling it differently along my forearm than I normally do when it's more of a German grip, which I don't want. So by switching it over to the American, I'm definitely feeling it use different muscles, and I want it to be consistent with the right. This is just bad habits that I'm trying to break. Slowly. Huh. So my left is inconsistent with its placement of the bead. It's like pushing out. This is like an exaggerated version of it, but it's in 2 different spots. So something about the rotation of the hand is causing it to push forward. And I don't know why. So once it finishes a measure at 40, then it stops, and that's the end of this warm-up. Okay, so that is a great exercise to work on whatever it is that you want to work on for like a rudiment or a sticking pattern or a musical phrase or whatever. So this was 16th note version, and it's from 40 to 60 to 40. That's the slowest range that you can go up to. Or it can go as much as 40, all the way up to 240 beats a minute, and then back down to 40, and like every 5 clicks in between. So just use the timestamps to jump to that. And this was the 16th note version, but if you go back here, again, there's the quarter note, there's 8th notes, swung 8ths, triplets, 16th notes, and swung 16th. And then there's the opposite of this. If you go back to here and scroll past all these exercises and go to the technique stuff, instead of slow, fast, slow, the opposite is fast, slow, fast. So it starts at the maximum tempo, slows it down, and then goes to whatever your maximum starting tempo was. Now, I'm going to stretch and massage now that we got the blood flowing. So this routine, I better outline in the video, so I'll just kind of go through it. Oh, that feels great. But the video is called This Hand Routine Saved My Drumming, and it's under the Drumming Lessons playlist. That has some scripted videos that I've made, as opposed to the impromptu questions that I'll get in the various chats where I'll kind of like respond, hey, here's how you do that thing. Here's how you can practice that. Here's my thoughts on whatever. If you do traditional rotate and hold there, but I don't do that anymore. So we're going to avoid that. Now I'm going to stretch the underside of the forearm. That feels good. So right here, if you want a deeper stretch, you go 2 fingers and then 2 fingers. You can do this on your pad as well, or you can do this on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch. So I'm going to do it there. Just don't put all your weight in it. Ooh, that feels good. Yeah. It's a good stretch. The first stretch stretches like the sides of the forearms. This one stretches the underside, and then this one stretches the tops, which is what we're going to do next. You're having cereal? What kind of cereal? Yeah, so like this. And if you want to do deeper, do 2 fingers, then 2 fingers. You can also do this one here on your legs or on your pad, or you could do it on the wall. The higher you go, the deeper the stretch. Again, don't put all your weight into it. Don't tear stuff. Now I'm going to stretch finger to finger, thumb to thumb. I haven't had cereal in a long time. I'll have oatmeal, which is like considered to be like a hot cereal, but this morning I had some toast. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Nice. That's a classic. Although that's the kind of cereal that, like, you can't let it get too soggy, or it just turns into, like, wet cardboard. You gotta keep that crunch in there. Can't let it sit there for too long. Unlike some other cereals where, like, you gotta actually let it sit for a long time to make it so it doesn't destroy the top of your mouth. I'm trying to think of the one that comes to mind. I don't think it was Fruity Pebbles. It's something. Some kind of like ball-like thing. Yellow Kicks? Is that a cereal? I don't remember. It's been too long. But I used to eat a lot of cereal. All the cereal. Literally would eat like a whole box of it for breakfast. Had this giant mixing bowl. Okay. So I'm massaging up and down the forearm. Just trying to get everything relaxed. And now I'm going to massage the hand with the thumb. And then the fingers massaging the back side of the hand. Ooh, that feels good. And then the last massage that I'll do is from base to tip of each one of the fingers. And then once I finish that, then we'll get into the exercise that I'm going to work on to focus on my left thumb. So I'm massaging base to tip. So it's called isolated diddles. And the exercise, ASMR, is very basic, but it allows you to hear what your hands sound like when you're playing a roll in isolation. So just the right hand for the first line. And then it puts them together as a double stop, written as a B in the music. And so that allows you to hear the interpretation, make sure that you're hitting with the same velocity, same timing, same heights, etc. And then it does it on the left hand, so you can hear your left hand in isolation. And then it does it both together at the same time as double stops. And then it plays it as a roll. This is a great way to be able to hear how your hands sound in isolation at the same time, and then together as a composite to play the roll. And you can find it under the technique exercises. So if you go to the double stops playlist right here, underneath technique exercises, and you click on this, there's a variety of exercises in here, but the isolated diddles is the one that I'm going to be working on. There's also one that's currently members first, which just means it's early access, so it's scheduled to release in the future for free. but this one has a release. So instead of just playing, you'll play with a release. Okay. Same thing with the 3s and the 4s in here. But there's a lot of exercises that you can work on that are related to double stops in here, but I'm going to work on the diddle version here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off at 40, and I'm going to go up 5 clicks at a time. I think that should be a good amount of time on each of these. Normally what I recommend is for finding this is just go 1 click at a time, so let it go to the 41, and then 42, and then 43, and just spend the time sitting with it going 1 click at a time so there's no gray areas. What I want to do is be able to feel where there is that slight change in the contact point on my thumb. So it's gone from here to here. So this is a little minor adjustment that I'm trying to make today. Literally that much of a change in the angle of my thumb, so that when it creates, for lack of a better term, pressure, I don't want it to be here. I want it to be there. Okay, so slight adjustment in the thumb is what I'm focusing on. We're going to start off at 40 for this, and we'll go 5 clicks at a time. Okay, so again, right hand only. There are some play-alongs for that. You got to put the Susie play the Chicago book reports. Whoops, rushed it. Got to pay attention. Okay, so this is a double stops where you want to hear it popping together. Left hand only. My talking is causing me to rush. Good chop exercise? It is. It's a classic. It's been around since the 90s, I believe. Oops. I played it twice as fast. I got excited. Already I'm noticing the left thumb is not where I want it to be with the contact point. So I need to focus more on that. Let's go up to 45 now. 4, 5. So we're skipping. Normally, again, sit with it at 1. But we're skipping so I can see how my thumb changes as I get faster. Okay, so right hand only. This is what your right hand plays on the second to last line as a roll. Now we're putting them together so we can hear how they sound. The first double stop as a diddle had the second note, the enter off. So I made a minor adjustment to fix it. Sweet. Now let's go to 50. Boop. Like that thumbnail of Jinxie. What do you mean, internal tempo? Like my heart rate, resting BPM. Yeah, so the left thumb. Shh, 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 shh. Stop, stop, stop. Thanks. There we go. The left thumb still feels weird. So I'm like internally trying to figure out like if there's a slight change in the angle, like between the sticks. Is it like this versus like this, compared to the right? Like we're talking centimeters at most, between them, trying to adjust it. And then same thing with like the angle, like the degrees. Like is it a couple degrees off? Because my tendency with my left hand, from having marched for snare, and because I used to play with my ring on, now I put it around my neck. It made it so that I flattened out my grip and had my fingers more off contact of the stick, so I wouldn't get the click sound. And now that I'm just taking the ring off, I'm able to like actually try and match the hands without hearing it the entire time while doing this. So I'm able to get the right angle, but it's just a bad habit. Oh, that's interesting. 160 was probably the one that I like used to have. But what I used to actually do is I had playlists organized on, was it iTunes, I think is what it was called. So on my iPod way back in the day, this is before phones could, do that. But I had it organized by BPM. So I used a program that would analyze the music that I had downloaded, and it would input into the iTunes data, like the MP3 data, what the BPM was. And so I had playlists set by like 10 click chunks. And so a lot of songs, I actually could just like sing the song in my head and go, oh, okay, 108 beats a minute. All right, I know this song is at that. And so then I'd just be able to play 108 beats a minute or whatever. But I haven't done that in a long time. But 160 used to be like the roll exercise or the flam exercise, like shopping spree. That would be the go-to. And I forget what the name of the song that I used that was a great one for triplet roll exercises. It was I think it was off the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, and it was all in triplet. So, and it was at 160, like, it was great. It was like perfect for it. But yeah, so if you listen to music and do that, that's a fun way to kind of like memorize different speeds, different tempi. The biggest thing I'm focusing on today is my thumb, but also making minor adjustments elsewhere to try and get them to better line up. Early. So I was early on that because I was thinking maybe I should do a rep where I just have my stick straight up, because I'm having that like weird thing with a diddle where it's like moving slightly forward. It's almost like I'm trying to play like from the spock to like drum 2, like I was doing a couple days ago on the tenor string. But yeah, so there's a slight motion moving forward on this that I don't want. And there I went with like moving the pressure towards the tip. Not this exaggerated, it was more like this, but I could feel it as I sped up. So I'm switching between like a swung feel and like a actual diddle, just to see if there's any changes in there. So those rhythms are two very different things that I'm playing. It's not me with bad diddle interp, just FYI. In case you're like, what is Jared doing? Don't worry about it. I want to see if it changes. Okay, yeah, I'll keep working on that. Cool. Let's go to 60. Here we go. A little slow. A little rush on one of the diddles. A little late. Slightly early. Yeah, so the transitions on that were not as consistent as I would like. Would be putting it lightly. It would have just been slightly gray, but enough that I'd be like, we gotta work on that more. If it was played on the line. Actually, I'm gonna play this low. See if it impacts the contact point on the left thumb. So playing it at tap height, like a 6. Didn't really notice much of a difference in the thumb contact point at the different heights, but maybe... Ooh, pop my foot. Maybe I'll notice it at a faster speed. Pop my other foot. Yeah! Balanced. Go to a 9. Mm-hmm. 75. Overemphasizing the second partial of that diddle on the right. Okay, let's try it at 80. Still not noticing huge changes in the thumb from the right to the left. That's good. What I'm trying to find, though, is that gray area where it starts to, like, shift. And then we'll sit with that. Ew. Really exposes inconsistencies when you do it as a double stop. Yeah, so the double stop is such a good way to hear if like one hand is higher than another. You'll hear that dirt or different speed or even a different interpretation, like if one hand is more slurred out than the other. Then you'll hear that because my right hand was slow compared to my left. So you want to try and focus on exercises like this that have the double stops, or like accent taps, so you can hear, like, do I have a different interpretation of the rhythm on the left hand? Like, is it too slow? Is it coming in too early, or whatever? So I highly recommend this double stop playlist for refining things. So I'm noticing a thumb change. Okay, so I'm gonna just let it go one click at a time. Now that I'm noticing a slightly change in this, I'm gonna focus on that thumb. Try and get it to match the right. Slightly slow on that. I was trying to focus on the technique so that interpret's a little off. Thinking, analyzing. Okay, so what can I share that, like, internally, what I'm thinking of that might be able to benefit you? Back that up so it's not mid tap off when I actually hit play again. So I'm making minor adjustments with each one of these playthroughs, trying to, again, balance out the left and the right, but I was also wondering, like, was my thumb changing in any way, like, in relation to the index finger? So I was, like, thinking about, like, was my thumb too far forward, or was it too far back, etc. Hey there, thinking of doing any gaming streams? Yeah, Jay, so in, what time is it? Probably a little over 20 minutes. I'll be doing Assassin's Creed Shadows, so we'll be doing that here in a little bit. Good question, though, and welcome. So my left thumb, in relation to the index, felt like a little off. This is not how I'd recommend playing. I'm just exaggerating. In terms of, like, how far it was in relation to the index. So is it, like, so that the thumb is sticking way out like this? Or is it so that the index is sticking way out? So I was making little minor adjustments there to see if that would change where my thumb was in relation to it. Hey, I appreciate it. I'll see you in a little bit. Yeah, once I'm done with this stream, I'll tear down and get ready for that one. A little slurred out. Let me see what it looks like from this angle. It's flattening out slightly. Yeah, so it's slightly flattening out on the left, so I'm going to focus on that for this next few reps. And the goal is to get it to 100, and then we'll chop out, and then I'll get ready for Assassin's Creed. Too big of an adjustment, created dirt in the left. My brain was like, ooh, bad release. What do I want to chop out with? And I was still focused on, oh, maybe I'll play this thing. And it screwed me up. Cool. Let's try it at 100, and then I'm going to chop out. And so for the chop out, I'm going to try and use it to collect some more data for what to work on next time. Yeah, so the thing, this exercise is great. Highly recommend it. Can't recommend it enough. But there's a variation with 3s, with 4s. I worked on those last week, I think. So you can check those out, as well as a bunch more different exercises that you can play with double stops. So you can try and match your right hand to your left hand or vice versa. Whatever one you're more comfortable with. Now, I'm going to chop out, and I'm going to use this to collect some data for myself for what to continue to work on. So I'm going to do a variation of the exercise known as gallop that Paul Rennick is kind of like made famous. But this is like an extended version of it called Rodeo. We're going to go into the timestamps in the description. Jump to a BPM. In this case, I'm going to do 110. Count off, and we will play all the way through it. So it's a pretty self-explanatory exercise, but it's a great way to work on the right hand, the left hand, and then putting the combinations together. And we're going to go 10 clicks at a time faster to try and figure out what is changing in my left hand in particular that I can work on next time to try and prevent that change. So it's matching the right the entire time. slow. Yeah, my left hand feels slow today. He's getting tired. This will probably be the breaking point. Stay tuned, we'll find out. Today's episode of Hit Drum Fast. Yeah, so slow down a little bit on the extended roll. One of the things I'm also experimenting with the left hand is like, where's the index finger in terms of like how much of the diddle is it getting? Kind of, I don't know how I can actually explain what mentally I'm trying to do and physically, mechanically is happening with that change, but maybe I'll think about it more between now and the next technique stream, and I can like better explain what I'm doing with the contact there to change the mechanics to make the diddle feel more like my right, not just the thumb. Slow down a little bit on that extended roll at the very end. No! And my stick is sticky. Yeah. All right. This play along, and literally over 2,000 of them, you can find in the timestamps, you know, where you go to click a BPM from 20 as fast as 160 for this play along. Some of them go as fast as 240. But if you go to the home tab of the Tube of You, I've got all of the drumming, gaming, computer science stuff organized there. So, like, if you want to watch the drumming content, just click on the header, and then there's over 2,000 free play-alongs that you can use. Any of the ones I say members first are all scheduled to release for free, so you just gotta be patient. There's over a year's worth of content currently scheduled to release, so some of them might take a while. So thank you to people who have signed up for membership, but just know you don't have to. I do appreciate it, but it's not necessary. All you gotta do is be patient, and all of them are coming out for free. All the ones that say members first. There are none that are like permanently behind a paywall or anything. Anyways, so if you want to find it organized better than what I can do on YouTube, the first link right here on every one of the play-alongs takes you to jaredoleary.com/drum. And when you click on that, this is where you can find it organized better than YouTube. So 62 chop exercises at the top. Next, we've got over 1,000 grid variations, 419 for triplet, 577 for 16th note, 36 wacky ones like Hurt the Grid. We've got over 150 timing exercises to work on limb independence, and 55 straight drum charts, 55 swung drum charts from slow to fast. A video that shows you how to work on limb independence, like what I'm doing for practicing. Like the next stream that I'll do will be on drum kit, and it will be limb independence. Over 400 marching bass related stuff, a little under 400 technique exercises. Like if you want to work on accent taps, click on that. If you want to work on your interpretation of your diddles, go to diddle timing, or your 5-strokes, go to 5-stroke roll timing. The exercise that I was working on was in the double stops playlist, and then I warmed up with the one that was in the slow, fast, slow playlist. And then finally we chopped out with the 16th note diddle playlist, Rodeo. You can find all the drumming tips over a dozen hours for free, all of the 350 plus live streams, some scripted lessons, a couple of non-sponsored pad reviews, etc. If you enjoy this content, just share it with somebody else. I'm just continuing to create as much content as I possibly can and release it to you for free. It is ad-supported, but I make less than $1 a day for literally multiple years worth of daily effort. So I'm not getting rich off of this, but hopefully helps you in some way. I'm going to call it here, and I'm going to get ready for some gaming. So we're playing Assassin's Creed. So if you go to /game on my website, this is where you can find all the gaming highlight reels for all the different games that I played, as well as the prior live streams. Like if you want to see what Assassin's Creed's like from the very beginning, go to this playlist or check out any of the other ones if you want to see the full streams. But I'm going to call it here. I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow for the stream. There's going to be a gap somewhere in the day. I need to look at my schedule, or somewhere in the week. It might be tomorrow or Tuesday where I'm not going to stream in the morning, so I'll need to look at that and figure that out. But when I am back on next, it'll be on Drum Kit. But I appreciate you all. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and goodbye.